Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Image Comics, we're going to be talking about Klik Klik Boom, issue number 1. It is written by Doug Wagner, art by Doug Dabbs, color by Matt Wilson, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. I apologize if I got any of those names wrong. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe on this guy's channel. Hit the bell if you're so inclined. You never know when I'm going to be dropping videos, dropping reviews. So let's get into it, right? I am a huge fan of Doug Wagner. I love all his stuff, but this is the first time I've read something out of his Plastiverse, let's just call it. And it's, you know, if you don't know the Plastiverse, that would be plush, plastic, and of course my personal favorite, vinyl. But this is kind of a separate thing. Might tie into some of his other stuff. Yeah, I don't know, we'll get there. So basically, we start out with in New York City. They set up, like, you know, kind of the wind, the wear. We're in modern times kind of stuff. We're seeing this like Polaroids everywhere, and it does play kind of a key factor in the book. But basically, we got this chick, and the chick that's featured on the cover, she goes by, we don't know her name, so she goes by, she's called a couple different things, let's just say that. In the beginning, we're going to call her Polaroid Girl, and the book does call her that as well, but later on she does get a different name, kind of a nickname. But we just see her, like, you know, it's like a random family, and she's kind of walking by, she's taking pictures of them, like, randomly with a Polaroid camera. Eventually, like, the dad's like, man, if you don't leave, I'm gonna call the cops, kind of stuff, you know, and she ends up leaving. They end up, you know, he's expressing that it's like his son's birthday or something like that. And eventually, what happens is, you know, like, she ends up going away, they end up celebrating at the last second, you know, she kind of comes back and, you know, takes the picture of the birthday cake, and the dad's like, that's it. There's not a lot of importance to that besides the fact that she's just taking random pictures. We do get some cringe moments coming up. We get these guys that she passed that end up grabbing her butt, turns around, takes a picture of them, kind of plays a key. We also get this, you know, she's walking along, we get some other guys that, you know, kind of like, you know, insinuating some other stuff, like, hey, you want to come this way, kind of thing. And, you know, she doesn't say anything, she just turns around and takes the picture of them. Eventually she does pass this guy walking along the street, and she does grab, like, you see right here, like his pants area or whatever. We see, I want to assume it's kind of, it doesn't clearly state it, but I want to assume that she stole the gun from this guy. Like, for some reason she could see when he was walking up that he was carrying a gun. She took the picture to, like, confuse him, and then she grabbed the gun. The next thing we see is she walks into this bank over here, and a couple different panels, but we see, like, a chair flying out a window, and, you know, some other, we hear a whole bunch of bang bang, click click, you know, kind of stuff. And eventually she walks out of the bank, and that's kind of like all we see from that part. As she's walking like out of the bank, we see this picture on the ground. She ends up picking it up, and it's this this gentleman smiling, right? She ends up taking a gander at it, and as she's looking at it, we get a little bit of backstory, and it says, far away from prying eyes, Idaho 12 years ago. And we kind of find out who this gentleman is, and he's kind of like, we get this whole, like, training session with him and her, the Polaroid Girl. We don't get a name on this guy either, I don't think so. But basically, you know, that's what's happening, is he's training her. They're in this exercise where he's supposed to, it's kind of like capture the flag with guns type thing. And, you know, there's a moment where he's like, oh, you're not gonna fool me with this suit, you know, you know, and sure and behold, like, you know, it's a trap set up from her. He's like, that's not gonna get me either. And then sure enough, he thinks she's behind a tree, but she's actually, like, up in the tree, and she ends up hanging down, and she's got the gun over here to his head, you know, stating that she had won that training situation. And it happens to be, like, I think the first time that she had bested him, kind of thing. Not only that, but it was the first time that we see that, like, because there's this little quote, because he does a lot of talking still at this point, and we do find out that she's mute, because that's kind of all that he says about her, that, you know, that the muteness isn't gonna, like, save her, kind of thing. But he does call her, like, a little mute, you know, a couple different panels, that kind of thing. But at the very last, like as she's looking at the picture, he does have this little quote, and he does say that he's like, "My dear girl, you're amazing," you know. So that really took you know, it was a special moment for that guy, you know, seeing this girl get, you know, best this, you know, he was like a master of what he was into, you know, warfare and you know, stealth tactics and stuff like that. So we go back to today in New York City, and we catch up with this other character, which these two girls are going to be the main characters going forward, and this is Serena Biggs, and we find out she's like a journalist, but she's kind of an at-home, like podcaster style journalist, and she's trying to figure out this whole, like, you know, thing as we're learning it at the same time. She's, you know, she's kind of the one who has dubbed the name Polaroid Girl. And she's basically trying to figure out, you know, what's with this girl going around town, you know, taking all these Polaroids. Of course, at this time, this is after the bank situation, so she's already, like, learning all the evidence from the bank situation. You know, how does this little girl go in there? And supposedly, we kind of hear what went down in the bank. Like, as soon as she came in, there were some people that looked like bankers, and they were carrying guns. And sure enough, and I apologize with my camera. I don't know what's going on with the sunlight explosion. I don't know. So at this point, you know, basically we find out that the bank was kind of like a shell run, like maybe, you know, a nefarious organization type thing. And we get this company called Minerva World Company or something like that. And basically, like, you know, this podcaster has been, like, on the trail of this Minerva company, and then you got this whole Polaroid Girl. She imagines that Polaroid Girl, on some level, is trying to unmask this bad company, this Minerva company kind of thing. So basically, during this whole, because she's doing a podcast as she's going over all the evidence that she has, which isn't a whole lot, but she has figured out some. That Minerva is a bad company kind of thing. And she's learned about the Polaroid Girl. We do find out that, like, there's not a whole lot of information, which strikes weird with Miss Biggs, you know, kind of thing. So the next day she does go to the Minerva company trying to get some information on, you know, she's basically going to ask them, hey, y'all a bad company kind of thing, and I don't know what her thinking was, and she even states that. But basically, as she goes in, she's greeted by a secretary. The secretary informs her that they know who she is, and if she doesn't leave without a fuss, you know, they're just going to ensue, like, corporate lawyers and that kind of stuff, and basically they send her on her merry way kind of thing. And as she's leaving, we do see that some other people high up were watching this, and they were kind of, you know, amazed and amused that she came this far in the investigation, because they already knew about her kind of thing. And maybe listening to our podcast, saying, you know, be careful what you know, saying about people kind of thing. But we do see that they send some individuals to basically follow this girl, and they use the term negotiate some terms with her. We get this one panel of Polaroid Girl taking a picture of those people following Serena Biggs. And we get this whole situation next where Serena Biggs is in this dark place. She's calling the cops. They're asking, you know, the casual questions. You know, where are you? You know? And before she can kind of get it out, she kind of gets knocked out. These guys explain that they're there to negotiate some terms, and they're basically there to kill her kind of thing. But before they can go down, they get a click, you know, from a camera, and all of a sudden, you know, they get the snot beat out of them. And the last thing Serena Biggs sees is what she dubs Elton John, and that's kind of going to be her nickname going forward, is Elton John, and it's because of those glasses, her hair kind of thing. So the next thing we wake up, you know, Serena Biggs wakes up in this club. She doesn't know how she got there. She wakes up screaming, still talking to the cops, because that's the last thing she was doing. And we see that she's not in that location, that the Elton John has saved her. She's quickly greeted by Elton John, but without the glasses, and she's kind of freaked out. She doesn't recognize her, but she does quickly don the glasses to remind her, and bits and pieces start coming back to her. So we leave the nightclub, and we click, you know, Serena is taken to what I would dub, Polaroid Girl or Elton John's apartment kind of thing, because as they're going in, there is some like tripwires that are in there, set up kind of ambush style for anybody that might happen to try and, sneak into this place kind of thing. And this is where a lot of the questions come from Serena Biggs, and she learns that this girl is mute. She can't really talk. She does state some basic things. Hey, I'll grab a pad and paper and let's try that form of communication. Hey, I know sign language. Let's try that. Evidently, this girl is mute on all forms of communication except for the Polaroids, and that's what the Polaroids are. They're her form of communication, and we learn that very quickly through this. Serena Biggs is intelligent. But before we can get too far into it, our Polaroid girl kind of points out that she has like a little cut that I got too. I made a boo-boo at work. But yeah, she's got a cut on her forehead, and as soon as Serena kind of touches and sees the blood, she mentions that she's not so good with blood, and that she was also supposed to be a nurse, and she happens to faint. Polaroid girl does take a picture of Serena as she's laying on the ground. The next thing, she wakes back up screaming Elton John. We see that, and if you haven't noticed already, she changes her hair color quite often. It's not expressed if she dyes or if they're wigs or whatever, but we do get more of the main motif that they show on the cover kind of here. But there's a reason why our Polaroid girl is standing at the window with a gun, and that's kind of what's gasped out of Serena Biggs, captions or whatever. And we do see that that somebody is pulled up, and somebody, a bunch of people are walking towards, Elton John's apartment kind of thing, and that's where the book leaves us off with. There is a cover, a cover page for the second issue, and that's basically all we get. No little paragraph or nothing like that. But man, this book was great. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't look at the synopsis. Sometimes I don't like to, I like a pleasant surprise kind of thing. I already love the writer, Doug Wagner. Doug Dobbs was brand new for me, but man, if I didn't love the art in this. There were just, not everything was super great, but man, there were some panels. It was just like, there was so much realism in it, and the pencil work, and it was fantastic. But the lettering and the coloring in the book all matched it. I mean, they all play a part, right? And especially, I know Doug Wagner, and he likes to use, stuff like that in key stuff, so, pay attention when, this girl's changing colors or the pictures she's taking. It could play, something out later on. But, man, this was a great first issue. I can't wait for the second issue. This whole, we got a, kind of detective style mystery thing going on. We got this assassin kind of thing set up. We haven't officially seen if she's an assassin because they technically didn't say she was killing. Yeah, I don't know. But we'll have to see. But I love this first issue. It was great. It was fantastic. The art was dope. Those are my thoughts. These are my words. My opinion. Let me know down below what you thought about this book. If you liked it, if it wasn't your cup of tea, let me know. What didn't you like about the book? But that's all I got for you. I'll have some more reviews on the way. Check out my other reviews. I have reviewed plastic, vinyl, plush. Go check those out. They're great reviews. If I don't say so myself. But hey, that's all I got for you. Bye, guys.